It had been raining for 4 straight days in Crescent Hollow, a quiet town pressed between mountains and mist. The kind of place where time did not pass, it hovered. Where memories didn't fade, they lingered. Eleanor Bryce sat in her faded armchair, her back curved like the wooden beams above her. 72 years old, widow, no children, no siblings left, and lately no conversations. The rain tapped against her windows like a visitor too shy to knock, and Eleanor imagined it was someone familiar. Her house was old, built in 1912, and with it came the creaks and murmurs of age. But it was hers, left to her by her grandmother, who had passed when Eleanor was only 22. The walls still wore the same wallpaper, the kind with small yellow roses fading at the edges. Eleanor had always meant to tear it down and replace it. She never did. That morning, after a spill of hot tea left a dark circle on the oak floor beside her reading nook, she decided to lift the plank to see if the wood underneath was damaged. The nail came out easily. Then another. And beneath it, wrapped in a square of oilcloth, was a journal. Took her breath. Not from fear. From familiarity. The moment her fingers grazed the edge of the cloth, something in her stomach twisted. The handwriting on the cover was her own. But she hadn't seen it in over 50 years. When memory lies dormant, she hadn't realized she'd ever hidden a journal. In fact, she hadn't remembered keeping one since her 20s. But as she opened it, the scent of dried ink and old emotion filled the air like perfume. The first page read, October 3, 1971. Think I love her. And just like that, Eleanor's heart seemed to age backward. She felt the ache of youth again, the confusion, the fire, the secrecy. Lena. Lena with the green cardigan and bitten nails. Lena who played piano barefoot in the chapel at midnight. Lena who kissed Eleanor's hand once, gently, when no one was looking. She flipped through page after page. Some of it poetry. Some of it aching monologue. All of it sacred. She had buried this version of herself so deeply that it took tearing up her home to find it again. She remembered the last time she saw Lena. It was after her father caught a glimpse of a letter Eleanor had written and confronted her without a word. Just a look. Just silence. And silence was enough to end it. Eleanor married Charles a year later. He was kind, gentle. They had a peaceful life, filled with garden centers and crossword puzzles and annual trips to Nova Scotia. But that hidden part of her remained frozen. And now it thawed. The room changed. Eleanor lit the fire and placed the journal in her lap. The room around her transformed. The silence was no longer heavy. It was intentional, like someone holding their breath in awe. She remembered being 20. She remembered dancing barefoot in the kitchen. She remembered the thrill of someone knowing you completely and still wanting more. The next morning, she opened her closet and pulled out a deep emerald shawl she hadn't worn in decades. The color reminded her of Lena. She walked into town, slowly, her cane tapping the sidewalk. She noticed the mural on the bakery wall that she hadn't really looked at before. A girl holding a balloon. She thought of youth, how it rises and escapes you if you don't hold the string tight. The conversation that never happened. That night she wrote a letter. Not to anyone alive. Just to Lena. She wrote what she would have said. I never forgot you. Even when I thought I had. Even when I folded myself into someone else's life. I kept you deep below the floorboards. She tucked the letter into the back of the journal. She didn't cry. Not exactly. But something inside her softened, like frost melting from a window pane. The next day, she took the journal to the riverbank and sat on the bench where her grandmother used to bring her. She read it aloud to no one. To everyone. And as she closed the book for the final time, she realized something had shifted. Not in the world. In her. Eleanor went home. She didn't place the journal back under the floorboards. She kept it by her bedside. She slept soundly that night for the first time in years. And in her dreams, Lena played the piano again, barefoot in a chapel filled with moonlight.